You don't wake up hoping things will work out. You wake up declaring they will. That's the difference between walking in faith and living in fear. Faith isn't a passive belief system. It's not just a feeling you get when things are going well or a comfort blanket when times get hard. Faith is a weapon. It's an internal fire that drives you forward when everything outside of you screams, give up. Faith is power in motion. It's the decision to keep walking even when the road ahead is hidden in fog. It's not blind, don't ever mistake it for that. Faith sees through the fog. It chooses to trust the vision, the promise, the purpose planted deep inside long before the struggle ever showed up. While fear freezes, faith moves. And in life, movement matters. If you're standing still, fear will catch you. But when you move with faith, you outrun doubt, insecurity, and limitation. There's a shift that happens when you stop treating faith like a concept and start wielding it like a weapon. You stop shrinking in the presence of fear. You stop negotiating with doubt. You stop asking the world for permission to rise. You no longer play small because faith doesn't allow it. Faith demands courage. It calls something deeper out of you, a version of yourself that's bold, unshaken, unrelenting. That version doesn't beg for clarity. It makes moves based on conviction. When your back is against the wall and everything feels like it's closing in, faith reminds you, this is not where your story ends. The pressure is not here to destroy you, it's here to develop you. Faith helps you recognize the opportunity hidden in adversity. It tunes your ears to hear the whisper of purpose even in the roar of chaos. Where others see failure, faith sees formation. Where others quit, faith persists. Every time you open your eyes in the morning, life gives you a choice, fear or faith. Fear tells you to play it safe, to stay in your comfort zone, to avoid failure at all costs. It keeps your dreams locked up in the basement of your mind, convincing you they're too big, too wild, too unrealistic. But faith? Faith breaks the locks. Faith kicks the door down. It tells you that dream was planted in you for a reason. And even if the path is unclear, even if the resources are missing, even if nobody believes in you yet, faith says, go anyway. See, faith doesn't need a perfect plan. It needs a willing heart. It doesn't wait for the stars to align. It acts and trusts the alignment will follow. Faith walks into the room with the confidence of someone who knows the odds don't matter when you've been called to something greater. You could have 10 reasons to doubt, but one reason to believe, and that one reason is enough. And when the setbacks come, and they will, faith doesn't crumble. Faith adjusts. It's not rigid, it's resilient. It bends, but it doesn't break. When the door closes, faith doesn't see it as rejection. It sees it as redirection. Faith understands timing. It's patient, but never passive. It waits with expectation, not resignation. It believes the best is still ahead, even when the evidence says otherwise. There's a kind of authority that comes with living by faith. Not arrogance, not ego, authority. A quiet inner strength. The kind of energy that walks into a storm and says, I know who I am, I know what I'm built for, and I will not fold. That's what faith gives you. Not just a safety net when you fall, but wings when you're ready to fly. Some people will look at your faith and call it delusion. Let them. That's not your concern. Because what they call crazy, is called preparation. They don't see what you see. They weren't given your vision. They weren't handed your assignment. So stop explaining yourself to people who don't understand your calling. Stop waiting for validation from those who've never had to walk your path. Faith doesn't need applause. It only needs your agreement. The truth is, most people live below their potential because they trust fear more than they trust faith. They let fear make their decisions, shape their identity, dictate their relationships, and define their value. But when you let faith take over, the script flips. You start to speak different. You start to move different. You stop seeking comfort and start seeking growth. You understand that faith will sometimes stretch you to the point of breaking, but only so you can expand into a bigger version of yourself. And when faith becomes your foundation, you stop reacting to life and start responding to it. You stop panicking in the face of problems and start planning with purpose. Fear is reactive. Faith is strategic. Fear leads you into cycles. Faith leads you into seasons. One keeps you stuck. The other moves you forward. So, it's time to start treating faith like what it truly is. Not a passive feeling, but an active force. A weapon you carry every day. A lens you see life through. A compass for your decisions. A shield against doubt and discouragement. Every morning you rise, remind yourself, you're not hoping things go your way, you're declaring they will, because you move with faith. And when faith moves, mountains do too. Faith isn't a passive thought, a fleeting feeling, or a last resort when things fall apart. It is a choice, a daily discipline, a force that propels a person forward even when circumstances seem impossible. When fear whispers that you aren't enough, that you'll fail, that the odds are stacked against you, faith stands up and declares, I will keep going anyway. It's not a wish, it's a weapon, not something soft and sentimental, but something bold, defiant, and unshakable. Faith is what you wield when everything else says stop, turn back, quit. People often wait until they feel brave before they act. But real courage isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward in spite of it. Faith isn't about ignoring reality. It's about choosing to see something greater than your current circumstance. It's choosing to believe that what's ahead is worth the discomfort of walking through the unknown. Faith says, I don't have all the answers, but I have enough reason to keep stepping forward. It's not reckless, it's rooted in vision, in purpose, in conviction. Faith requires movement. You can't claim faith and stay still. You can't say you believe and stay stuck. The act of believing demands that you act, that you pick up your feet and take the next step, even when you're uncertain of where it will lead. That you keep building even when the results haven't shown up yet. That you keep speaking life, keep showing up, keep trusting the process when the process feels slow or even painful. Fear wants you to settle. It wants you to shrink back, to disqualify yourself before you even begin. Fear feeds on hesitation. It multiplies in your mind when you sit idle, analyzing every possibility, calculating the risk, searching for guarantees that never come. But faith doesn't need a guarantee to start. Faith just needs a yes, a decision, and I'm doing this anyway. Fear is loud, but faith doesn't shout back. It just walks forward. Every day, you wake up with a choice: to feed your faith or feed your fear, and whichever one you feed will grow. If you spend your time rehearsing all the reasons why it won't work, all the things that could go wrong, all the times you failed before, you give fear the upper hand. But if you speak to your purpose, if you affirm your vision, if you declare your identity before you feel it, you're feeding your faith, and that makes all the difference. Faith is proactive. It's the decision to act like the breakthrough is already on the way. It's showing up early. It's preparing like the opportunity is guaranteed. It's training like the door will open, even when it's still closed. You don't wait for proof, you live like it's already done. That mindset doesn't just change your behavior, it reshapes your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who's trying to make it, and you start seeing yourself as someone who was made for this. That's why fear has no place in the life of someone who's walking in purpose. Because fear clouds your vision. It tricks you into thinking you're stuck when you're really just scared. But faith gives you clarity. It clears the fog, not by giving you the full picture, but by giving you a reason to move. Even if the road is dark, even if the outcome isn't certain, faith lights the step in front of you, and that's all you need. Just the next step. Sometimes, faith means standing alone. It means trusting the vision, even when no one else sees it. People might question you, criticize you, even laugh at you. But faith doesn't need validation from the outside. Faith is internal. It's built in the quiet, in the personal, in the moments no one else sees. That's where the foundation is, laid before the results, before the recognition. It's that private decision to stay committed, to keep pushing, to keep believing when it would be easier to walk away. Faith isn't glamorous. It's gritty. It's waking up early to chase the vision. It's staying late to finish the work. It's sacrificing comfort now for impact later. It's showing up in the gym, in the studio, in the office, in the classroom. When motivation is gone, when results are delayed, when no one is watching. That's where faith lives. In discipline, in action, in movement. People want to skip to the reward, to the breakthrough, to the spotlight. But faith is forged in obscurity. In those moments when you have to remind yourself why you started, when you have to stir up your own belief, when the only voice cheering you on is your own. That's where real power is born. Not in applause, but in persistence. Not in ease, but in endurance. Fear wants you to wait for certainty. Faith tells you to move in expectancy, to believe that you were created with intention, that your gifts are not random, and that your journey, no matter how messy, is part of something greater. When fear says, "What if it doesn't work?" and faith replies, "What if it does?" That one shift in perspective changes everything. It gives you permission to try, to fail, to grow, to get up again, because your worth isn't defined by outcomes, but by obedience to the calling. There will be setbacks. There will be delays. There will be moments where fear will rise louder than your belief. But every time you choose faith, you strengthen it. Every time you step forward in uncertainty, you train your spirit to trust more. Fear is a reaction, but faith is a response, and you control your response. Faith is not a one-time declaration. It's a daily decision. It's something you have to choose over and over, especially when fear creeps back in, when anxiety speaks louder than vision, when comfort tempts you to quit. But with each decision to press forward, faith grows. It gets stronger, bolder, louder, and before long it begins to drown out fear altogether. Faith isn't for the faint of heart. It's for the focused, for the ones who dare to believe that their life has meaning beyond what they can see right now, that their struggle is shaping strength, that their waiting is developing character, that their small unseen steps are building momentum that will one day move mountains. Faith is not emotional, it's intentional. It's choosing to keep going, not because the path is easy, but because the purpose is worth it. You weren't created to crumble under pressure. There is something deep inside you that was born to endure, to overcome, to rise again no matter how many times life tries to break you. Faith is not some abstract concept reserved for the religious or the righteous. It's not a Sunday ritual or a quiet thought before bed. Faith is a force, a fire, a fight. It's the inner knowing that even when everything around you says no, your soul still says yes. It's a weapon, not a wish. And it's forged not in moments of ease but in the fires of adversity. When the storms come, and they will come, fear tries to take the wheel. It shouts at you. It reminds you of your failures. It plays every worst-case scenario in your mind like a broken record. It tells you you're not ready, not capable, not enough. But that's when faith has to rise up and speak louder. Because fear feeds on uncertainty, but faith thrives on conviction. Faith doesn't need to see the whole staircase. It just takes the next step. One bold move in the dark. One breath when your chest feels tight. One declaration that today, you will not quit. Pressure doesn't destroy you. It reveals you. It squeezes out what's inside. And what's inside of you is strength. What's inside of you is perseverance. What's inside of you is a spark that fear cannot extinguish. You weren't made to bow down to fear. You were made to conquer it. But conquering fear doesn't mean you won't feel it. It means you won't be led by it. You won't build your life around avoiding pain, failure, or discomfort. You'll build your life around purpose, and purpose always requires pain. The world teaches you to play it safe, to shrink, to settle. But that's not where transformation happens. Nothing powerful is born in the comfort zone. Real growth, real power, real faith. It's born in the uncomfortable places. In the moments you want to give up, but choose to keep going. In the battles where no one's watching, but you still show up. That's where champions are made. Not in the spotlight. In the shadows. In the silence. In the stretch of faith. Faith isn't loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Barely a whisper. But it's steady. It's unshakable. It doesn't need external validation, because it's rooted in something deeper. Faith is the inner agreement with destiny. It's your spirit saying, "I was built for this," even when your body is tired and your mind is full of doubt. And the more you act in faith, the stronger it becomes. Just like a muscle, faith grows when it's tested, when it's stretched, when it's put under pressure. You can't expect strength without resistance. You can't expect boldness without fear trying to block your path. But each time you choose faith over fear, you become more of who you were meant to be. You tap into a power that doesn't come from people, circumstances, or luck. You tap into a source that's been waiting for you to believe. To really believe. Not just with your words, but with your actions, with your choices, with your persistence. There's a reason your challenges haven't broken you. There's a reason you're still breathing, still standing, still searching, because there's more in you. There's a mission on your life that fear can't cancel, but you've got to rise up and own it. You've got to stop letting fear write your story. Stop letting anxiety make your decisions. Stop letting past pain set your expectations for the future. Faith is about more than positive thinking. It's about courageous living. It's about showing up scared and doing it anyway. You don't need perfect conditions to move. You just need a decision. A moment where you say, I'm done letting fear win. A moment where you decide that progress matters more than perfection. A moment where you stop asking, what if it goes wrong, and start asking, what if this is the breakthrough I've been praying for? Because sometimes the only thing standing between you and your next level is the courage to believe when it doesn't make sense. That's what faith does. It dares to hope. It dares to move. It dares to trust. The voice of fear will always be there. But so will the voice of faith. And the one that wins is the one you listen to most. Faith doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's the quiet choice to get back up. Sometimes it's the silent prayer when no one sees your tears. Sometimes it's just putting one foot in front of the other when everything in you wants to stop. That is strength. That is power. That is faith in motion. So when life throws its worst at you, when the doors close, the plans fall apart, and fear tries to paralyze you, remember this. You are not powerless. You are not alone. You have a weapon inside you that's more powerful than any doubt, any setback, any delay. That weapon is faith. Use it, wield it, live by it, and you will become unstoppable.